Today is June 28th. Today, Jesus says, with great power comes great responsibility. Oh, that line is from the first Spider-Man movie, I know, but that is exactly what Jesus says in this passage. Let's read Luke 12 from verse 41 to 48. Peter said, Lord, are you telling this parable for us or for everyone? And the Lord said, who then is the faithful and prudent manager whom his master will put in charge of his slaves to give them their allowance of food at the proper time? Blessed is that slave whom his master will find at work when he arrives. Truly, I tell you, he'll put that one in charge of all his possessions. But if that slave says to himself, my master is delayed in coming, and begins to beat the other slaves, men and women, and to eat and drink and get drunk, the master of that slave will come on a day when he doesn't expect him, at an hour that he doesn't know, and he will cut him in pieces and put him with the unfaithful. That slave who knew what his master wanted, but didn't prepare himself to do what was wanted, will receive a beating. But the one who didn't know and did what deserved a beating will receive a light beating. From everyone to whom much has been given, much will be required. And from the one to whom much has been entrusted, even more will be demanded. This is such a strange passage. Peter calls it a parable, so we should treat it as such. The context of the parable, it's the teaching that the slave who is prepared is worthy. He'll be given more responsibility. Then comes Peter's question. Do you mean this about us? Or is it just about the scribes and the Pharisees? Are you just saying that they're unworthy? Jesus answers saying, now you know what? There are three slaves. First of all, there is a slave who is prepared and working when the master comes. That slave will be blessed. Then there is a slave who usurps his authority. He is unprepared for his master when he comes, and his master finds him beating the servants. That one will be condemned. Then there's a third kind of slave, one who knows what he's supposed to do, but he isn't prepared, or maybe he's not totally convinced of what he should be doing. Those slaves will be punished. The role of punishment is to bring them back into the fold. So this may be Jesus saying to Peter, Peter, if you see someone who doesn't understand what they're supposed to do, let them know. Light beating, instruction, better. The punchline, to whom much has been given, much will be required. With great power comes great responsibility. We see that also in the Old Testament in the book of Daniel. Let's read the story of Belshazzar and the handwriting on the wall in Daniel 5.
Daniel 5, New Revised Standard Edition. King Belshazzar made a great feast for 1,000 of his lords, and he was drinking wine in the presence of the 1,000. Under the influence of wine, Belshazzar commanded that they bring in the vessels of gold and silver that his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken out of the temple in Jerusalem, so that the king and his lords, his wives, and his concubines might drink from them. So they brought the vessels of gold that had been taken out of the temple, the house of the God of Jerusalem, and the king and his lords, his wives, and his concubines drank from them. They drank the wine and praised the gods of gold and silver, bronze, iron, wood, and stone. Immediately the fingers of a human hand appeared and began writing on the plaster of the wall of the royal palace, next to the lampstand. The king was watching the hand as it wrote. Then the king's face turned pale, and his thoughts terrified him. His limbs gave way, and his knees knocked together. The king cried aloud to bring the enchanters, the Chaldeans, and the diviners. And the king said to the wise men of Babylon, "Whoever can read this writing and tell me its interpretation shall be clothed in purple, have a chain of gold around his neck, and rank third in the kingdom." Then all the king's wise men came in, but they could not read the writing or tell the king the interpretation. Then King Belshazzar became greatly terrified, and his face turned pale, and his lords were perplexed. The queen, when she heard the discussion of the king and his lords, came into the banquet hall. The queen said, "O king, live forever. Do not let your thoughts terrify you, or your face grow pale. There is a man in your kingdom who is endowed with the spirit of the holy gods. In the days of your father, he was found to have enlightenment, understanding, and wisdom, like the wisdom from the gods. Your father, King Nebuchadnezzar, made him chief of the magicians, enchanters, Chaldeans, and diviners, because an excellent spirit, knowledge, and understanding to interpret dreams, explain riddles, and solve problems were found in this Daniel, whom the king named Belteshazzar. Now let Daniel be called, and he will reveal the interpretation." Then Daniel was brought before the king. The king said to Daniel, "So you are Daniel, one of the exiles of Judah, whom my father the king brought from Judah. I have heard that you have a spirit of the gods in you, and that enlightenment, understanding, and excellent wisdom are found in you. Now the wise men, the enchanters, have been brought in before me to read this writing and tell me its interpretation. But they were not able to reveal the interpretation of the matter. But I have heard that you can give interpretations and solve problems. Now if you are able to read the writing and tell me its interpretation, you shall be clothed in purple, have a chain of gold around your neck, and rank third in the kingdom." Then Daniel answered in the presence of the king, "Let your gifts be for yourself, or give your reward to someone else. Nevertheless, I will read the writing to the king and let him know the interpretation. As for you, O king, the Most High God gave your father Nebuchadnezzar kingship, greatness, glory, and majesty. And because of the greatness that he gave him, all peoples, nations, and languages trembled and feared before him. He killed those he wanted to kill, kept alive those he wanted to keep alive, honored those he wanted to honor, and degraded those he wanted to degrade. But when his heart was lifted up, and his spirit was hardened so that he acted proudly, he was disposed from his kingly throne, and his glory was stripped from him. He was driven from human society, and his mind was made like that of an animal. His dwelling was with the wild asses. He was fed grass like oxen, and his body was bathed with the dew of heaven, until he learned that the Most High God has sovereignty over the kingdom of mortals, and sets over it whomever he will. And you, Belteshazzar, his son, have not humbled your heart, even though you knew this. You have exalted yourself against the Lord of heaven. The vassals of his temple have been brought in before you, and you and your lords, your wives, and your concubines have been drinking wine from them. You have praised the gods of silver and gold, of bronze, iron, wood, and stone, which do not see or hear or know, the God in whose power is your very breath, and to whom belong all your ways, you have not honored. So from his presence the hand was sent, and this writing was inscribed. And this is the writing that was inscribed, Mene, Tekel, and Parsin. This is the interpretation of the matter. Mene, God has numbered the days of your kingdom and brought it to an end. Tekel, you have been weighed on the scales and found wanting. Perez, your kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and Persians. Then Belteshazzar gave the command, and Daniel was clothed in purple. A chain of gold was put around his neck, and a proclamation was made concerning him that he should rank third in the kingdom. That very night Belteshazzar, the Chaldean king, was killed, and Darius the Mede received the kingdom, being about 62 years old.
So Belshazzar was a great king. He took over from his father Nebuchadnezzar. But you can tell here the way Daniel treats him. Daniel respected Nebuchadnezzar. He treated him with honor. Not so Belshazzar. He doesn't have much time for Belshazzar. When Belshazzar comes and shows him what the hand wrote on the wall. Daniel looks at it, says, keep your gifts. I don't want your gifts. Mene, mene, tekel, upharsin. Mene, your days have been numbered. Tekel, your kingdom has been divided. You have been placed in the balance. You're found wanting. And then pharsin, divided. Your kingdom has been divided from you. With great power comes great responsibility. You have not shown the responsibility that coincides with your power. There are two protagonists in Daniel 5. One is Belshazzar. He's unworthy. At the end of the chapter, he dies that very night. The other is Daniel. Daniel is given a role. He fulfills that role. He does what he is to do. As a result, he's made third in the kingdom. So what do we do about this today? It's a great day for us to evaluate what we are doing to make sure that we are responding responsibly to the power that we've been given. Scripture reading from the New Revised Standard Version by Emily Herrera. If you live in the Greenwood, Indiana area and you're looking for a church, come check out New Hope Church. We're at 5307 West Fairview Road. Our Sunday morning service begins at 10 a.m. I'd love to see you there.